let's finish the plane with some expected findings. Welcome back to the shop and the channel and the continuing saga of making this inexpensive aluminum plane usable. We'll get there, I hope. But what I've done here is before we get started with getting these parts to fit together better, I brought out some of my planes, removed the irons, and I want to show you the difference between this iron that came with the Buck Brothers and these other irons that I have with my other planes. Now, the Buck Brothers iron, as I noticed, was kind of not very symmetric thickness, whatever. When I was sharpening it, the metal came off a little faster than I would have liked or would have expected. It's definitely not a Rockwell 64, I don't think. And I have 3 other plane irons here. I want to show you the difference. I have a decimal vernier caliper here. And let's start with this one. I restored this number 4 years ago. It's a Stanley number 4. And I bought a Lee Nielson 95 thousandths plane iron for it. And when I measure it, it's 95 thousandths. It's 95 thousandths. It's 95 thousandths. It's 95 thousandths all the way across. And this one is a harder material. It takes a little longer to sharpen and it holds an edge longer. So that's 95 thousandths. The next one is another Lee Nielson. This is my low angle block plane that Mara got me for Christmas the year we were married. And the iron for that is 110 thousandths. 110 thousandths, 110 thousandths. It's consistent. It is again, it's a harder material than that one. It sharpens very nicely, takes a while, but it holds an edge for a long time. And so that's a good one. Now this one here is my Veritas low angle smoother. It doesn't have a number so much. I think they got a number 2 on here, but I think it's similar to a number 5.5, something like that. And the plane iron for that right here is 125 thousandths, 125 thousandths, 125 thousandths. Again, it's made of a harder material. It sharpens, takes a while to sharpen, but it holds an edge for a long time. And because of the thickness of these irons, you get no chatter at all. If everything's locked up nice and tight, you get no chatter. Now let's go to the Buck Brothers. This one here, the stamped steel one. It is 74 thousandths, 69 thousandths, 76 thousandths, 80 thousandths, 79 thousandths. Not only is it thinner, it's inconsistent. It's very inconsistent. So that's a problem. Also, when I sharpened it, when I put the micro bevel on, I saw a very, very slight concavity in this direction here. Not serious, but that might have been just the other stone I was using it on. But anyway, that's the plane irons. That's the difference. Thicker, better material, very robust. Thinner, cheaper material, not going to work very well. If I was to restore this plane to keep, I would buy a Lee Nielson 100 thousandths or more plane iron for it, so it would function better. So there it is, plane irons. Gotta love them. So let's move on to getting this thing fit together more precisely. The body, all the parts. Now, let's do some fitting of parts. I don't know how much I'm going to have to take off here, but on where this paint is, I know I've got some burrs I need to take off. I did give it a shot polishing or flattening the sole, and that's almost a losing battle. It's aluminum, it's got a shape, it'll work, but for precision, good planing of fine woodworking, I wouldn't use this. So I've got a series of files. I have bastard files and crosscut files, big files and little files. But what I want to do here is I want to, for instance here, This is where the frog sits. I want to at least flatten that because it's kind of bumpy. And so I'll take a file and just, let's do this in the vise because it's easier to do this in the vise. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to carefully flatten where this paint is. I'll get down almost to the metal maybe. I'm going to get down to the metal. It's not much paint, not very thick. This has actually got an angle on it. Using that as a straight edge. Let's see, I want to be a little more aggressive here. Okay, so this is all pretty much coplanar. It's nice. It's the paint, the bumpy paint stuff. There's one a little bit here. It's pretty much gone. So I need to go ahead and now let's look on the frog. And with the frog, I just want to. I got to go sideways with it. It won't do it very well, will it? Nope. So this is going to be fun. Again, I just want to flatten this out here. It's kind of hard to see in the camera because it's facing me. Oh, there's a burr there. I can get rid of it. I can just feel the burr. I can see where this was not square to begin with. These three pieces were not square to each other to begin with because I got all the paint off of this one, but not off of these two. Okay, that's flat. And I've got it to where I've got metal to sit on these metal parts here. So that will give us a better fit of the frog to the plain body. Yeah, that's a better fit there. Now, I want to take off this a little bit of the paint along here where the plain iron sits. I can actually feel where it's bumpy and where it's not. Okay, so what I'm looking for is exposed metal here. So when the plain iron sits on it, it's nice and flat. Oops, there we go, nice and flat. So when the plain iron sits, like I said, got to get it in camera, of course. It's nice and flat against the frog, and I don't see, let me put up the light. I don't see any light between the plain iron and the frog now. Just gonna. All right, so those are the parts that I really wanted to get to fit a little bit better. Like I said, this plane is not a very good plane, but it'll do the job for occasionally for the hairy homeowner. Although you know how it is when someone uses a plane very rarely, they forget how to use it. Yeah, so let's go ahead now. You know what, one more thing is there is what looks like paint drippings along the part that rides against the plane here, and I need to take those paint drippings off. There we go. It's all about feel. I don't have a milling machine here, so I can't do the milling machine thing. So let's reinstall the frog. I need a screwdriver. I fade out and all the stuff stays here. So That's, yes, I like that. There's no wobble this way. There's no wobble this way. And it seems like I've got a good solid purchase between the frog and the plain body. Now I'm going to put the frog at the level with, straight with the mouth. Actually, a little beyond the mouth, so it clears the mouth. I did, in fact, take some of the burrs off of the mouth. This has a very large mouth on it, so it's unusual in that way. Rotate it just a little bit. The frog is not cold planar, has a slight twist in it. Now let's put the chip breaker on, the iron. A 1/16 of an inch between the chip breaker and the edge of the plane iron. Now the cap needs a little bit of the paint removed from the cap. Again, I'm looking for bare metal. Yeah, see, it's hot. It's high here, and it's low here, here, and here. Okay, and that's held in place now pretty well, except there we go. And before we do a test, we've got to put the knobs back on. I guess there's going to be a lot of yeah, I opened the hole up a little bit. Going to be a lot of, oops, darn it, another screwdriver. I will now fade out and fade back in. Gotta love transitions, don't you? Okay, that's tight. That's tight. So again, the side-to-side adjuster is interfered with by the tote itself. I've been calling them handles, but you know it's a tote. So I should file that down a little bit and put some more put some finish on it to hide the filings. So I'll take I'll get my my really good rasp, my OU rasp. And take the tote back off. And then post the tote into the vise. And then what I need to do is just take this down a little bit. Yeah, that might do it. Yep, that's going to do it. That's going to do it fine. Okay, so now the iron adjuster does not interfere with the tote. And it does its thing very nicely. Let's get that centered somewhat. Put the cap back on. Okay, now it's time for a test. So get a piece of wood, stick it in the vise, and let's test this thing. So now for a little test. First things I want you to notice that is kind of odd here is this is the Stanley number 4 that I restored years ago. This is this one. I want you to look at the mouths of those two planes. The Stanley is much narrower, much narrower and more precise, and the aluminum one on the Buck Brothers is obviously very large. Great if you're doing softwood. So first thing I want to do, let's do a couple of passes with the Stanley number 4. I've got a piece of pine chucked up here in the vise. Oops. This is, I got it set for a kind of a coarse, a thick cut, but there's, oops, I got to get it in camera. There's the shavings from the Stanley number 4 with the Lee Nielson iron in it. Now let's try this. I think I got it set where I want it. I got it set a little finer. Let me go down a little bit. So there's the shavings from the, which is a little finer, but with the Buck Brothers. Okay, let's do a post-mortem here. So the Stanley is heavier. It's a little easier to handle. I think it gives a finer cut because of the better iron. And I had flattened the base of the sole of the plane, and I flattened it 90 degrees to the edge. This I wasn't really able to flatten very well. It has a large mouth on it. It has a plane iron that even now I think it's losing its edge. Do it again. Yeah, it's uneven. It's not cutting, even though I've got it, what I think leveled on here, it's not going. Let me move this over just a little bit. It works. Okay, it works. I wouldn't own one. I don't recommend you buy something like this or give one as a gift to anybody. Anybody starting out in woodworking, please steer them away from one of these aluminum planes. They're not just Buck Brothers. Others have them. They're low priced, $10, $15, $20 in the big box store. And steer them more towards a decent cast iron plane. I'm going to leave some links in the description if I can find them of modest priced, whatever that is, cast iron planes for the beginning woodworker. I'm also going to leave a link in the description to Lee Nielson's YouTube channel because they have videos of them manufacturing their tools, and you get a really good sense of why those tools from Lee Nielson are so expensive. It's the quality of the tools, the quality of the materials, and the quality of the manufacturer. So there it is. It's restored, it's usable, but I wouldn't recommend it for you. Certainly aren't going to do any fine work with this. So until next time, make great things out of wood. Find an old Stanley for $18, $20, restore it, and put a Lee Nielson or a Buck Brothers iron in it. You won't be disappointed.